Coming to you from Studio 14, this is Healing with Words. Part 2, The Game in Infidelity. This is one of the most intriguing aspects of this pattern. It becomes sort of a cat and mouse game. In this game, he has his affair, he pursues this other woman, and has illicit and covert relationships with the other woman. He then begins to show telltale signs of having the affair. These may range from late nights at the office to a sudden interest in grooming, or phone calls where the other party hangs up when the wife answers the call. Even becoming more passionate in lovemaking may signal that there may be an affair in the wings. But I don't need to give the wife a full list of these signs. She knows. There's something in her, maybe it's woman's intuition, but she knows. She suspects that something is going on. And in my experience, many of them can pinpoint to the exact date when the husband began the affair. I often encourage them to trust these gut feelings. They are rarely wrong. I was kept out of 2 affairs by my wife's intuition. I don't know if it is that I have a blind spot or that women tend to see things in other women that men don't see. But thanks to my bride's insistence in overcoming my bullheadedness, I was spared. Allow me to explain. The first time it was with a coworker. The coworker was experiencing marital problems and needed to talk to somebody. It sounds innocent enough, doesn't it? Well, mark these words. In fact, I will point them out carefully for you. I'm sure that these are true. An affair can begin as easily as when one talks or listens to somebody of the opposite sex about his or her marital problems. Simple, huh? This is the first sign of trouble. Well, naively and meaning well, I listened to my coworker. I had not been trained as a marriage and family therapist yet, but that didn't stop me from giving her advice. I mean, we all do that, don't we? We like to help. This woman found me to be a sympathetic, listening ear. I was sensitive, caring, and attentive. I came to find out I was everything her husband was not. Now, that's flattering. Now, can you see the picture beginning to develop? Wait, it gets better. One day, she gave me a rose. It was a red rose. I thought it was nice of her. My bride's internal alarm system went off. This was the beginning of a long line of arguments between my bride and I. She insisted that there was something going on between this coworker and me. I would snap back, and it was all in her imagination, that this coworker was just being grateful for the help I had given her. My bride did not quit. She kept pestering me about it. In reality, she was just merely trying to get it through my thick head. Eventually, for the sake of peace, I decided to go along with her intuition. I spent less time with this coworker. I would address her politely, but professionally, and would not entertain her talks as often. Sometime later, for unrelated reasons, both Teresa and I left this particular job. Several months later, We met this coworker's husband at a local movie theater. I inquired how things were going, as one tends to ask, just to be nice. He informed us that his wife had left him for another man. I turned to my wife. You can imagine the "I told you so" look on her face. And now, picture the "okay, you were right and I was wrong" look on mine. You'd think I would have learned my lesson. Wrong. Affairs are not always this cut and dry. Sometimes they are very subtle. The second time was with a professional colleague. Again, it started innocently enough. We would be engaged in co-therapy, treating a particularly difficult case. Now, before I continue, I need to explain something. Therapy lends itself to be highly emotional experience. There are intense levels of anger and hurt and hatred and betrayal, sometimes all in a single session. When these emotional levels run high, deep emotional bonds tend to develop between those who are working together, be it between co-therapists or therapists and clients. By the way, this is why I suspect a lot of affairs occur in hospital ER rooms and in police departments around the country. Well, our sessions were, like roller coaster rides. Very exciting. As a structural strategic therapist, my sessions were often dynamic and dramatic. We would often meet after the sessions and process the dynamics of the case. For example, why we said whatever we said, did whatever we did, whether we read their nonverbals correctly, what we see as their underlying issue, and whether we work together well enough for the good of the family or the couple. My wife witnessed a verbal interaction between us at one time. Later, she approached me and warned me that there was something funny about our relationship. Again, I dismissed it as mere fantasy. She promptly reminded me of the last time that this happened. Well, I just wouldn't listen. I was convinced that it was different this time. After all, I reasoned, my colleague hadn't given me a red rose. After many discussions, I reluctantly agreed to listen to my bride's advice and took the necessary precautions, beginning by distancing myself emotionally from the colleague and addressing her again, politely but professionally. Our relationship as co-therapists terminated. And it wasn't long thereafter when we heard that, much to our surprise, she had become engaged to be married to someone she had not been dating for long. Kindly refer back to the exchange of looks at the movie theater that I mentioned above. So, what if there is a full-fledged affair going on? There is much excitement in sneaking in the shadows and having clandestine meetings with someone that you're not supposed to be with. It is even more titillating when the affair is going on right under the spouse's nose. It causes the adrenaline to flow freely. Would they get caught? How much can they actually get away with? Forbidden fruit looks and tastes so good. She suspects that something funny is going on. So she begins to observe closely. Is he acting differently? Is he being evasive? Yes, the signs are obvious. But where is the evidence? The game begins. The rat sneaks out to partake of the forbidden cheese. The cat will now pursue, hot on his tracks, to try to gather evidence, anything that will confirm her intuition. Curiosity is so powerful. He goes out on business trips. She just happened to have looked in his jacket pockets and found a motel bill. Slips and papers with phone numbers are lying here and there. Calls come in and the other party hangs up when she answers. I have witnessed it myself in therapy. Here's a lonely housewife who is now ushered into the exciting world of the private eye. She reports excitedly how she has followed him and watched him go to and fro around town completely undetected. The life of an amateur sleuth can be very intoxicating. Do you see how the cycle feeds on itself? He sneaks, she sneaks. And depending on how exciting it is for both, this cycle can go on for a long time. The longer this goes on, the longer the thrill of the hunt. Now, she has gathered enough evidence and is ready to interrogate the alleged perpetrator. And now begins the next stage, the probe. I'm Bill Cruz, and this has been Healing with Words. See you next week.